Why, the polar bear is a close relative of the brown bear. They are descended from common ancestors who lived only 150,000 years ago. For species evolution, this is very recent. The brown bear hibernates just fine in winter, but can the polar bear sleep in a den in summer? And in fact, if polar bears have dens? Surprisingly, they hardly ever sleep. That is, they sleep normally, as they do in summer, only in summer they usually sleep more. But they do not fall into a winter sleep. It would be more correct to call it hibernation of bears. They do not have real sleep, because their body temperature does not fall, and they can wake up at any moment. Only pregnant and nursing female bears go into winter sleep. The rest of the polar bears, if they lie in their dens, only for a short time and not every year. The main food of polar bears is seals. They are seals. They are hunted by polar bears on the ice. They either snatch the seal with their paw from the hole in the ice, through which the seal is breathing, or they catch and snatch the seals, which came out on the ice to rest. In many areas of the Arctic where polar bears live, the ice melts almost completely by the end of summer. They can no longer hunt seals. On land, most Arctic animals are able to escape from the polar bear, and in the sea to swim away from it. It is good if they manage to find a carcass of a dead whale or a walrus on the shore. But if not, then in late summer and autumn bears sometimes starve for several months. So in winter they don't sleep but start hunting again as soon as the ice appears. But females have nowhere to go, they have to lie down in their dens. Because polar bear cubs, like other bears, are born small, their weight is less than 1 kilogram and blind, they are covered only with short hair. Usually females make a den on the shore, sometimes 50 kilometers from the seashore. As a rule, she makes her den in a snow dune, but if there is little snow, she may dig a hole in the frozen ground. The female lies in the den just when the ice melts, and it becomes difficult to hunt. The cubs are usually born in November and January and stay in the den until February-March. Before she gives birth to the cubs, the bear does mostly sleep, but she wakes up during the birth and has to sleep less afterwards. But she is still in a state of winter sleep until she leaves the den. She doesn't eat, drink, pee or poop. So how does the female manage to accumulate nutrients for her long sleep and to nurse her cubs? And there are usually 2 of them. It turns out that mating in polar bears takes place in spring, in April or May. Immediately after mating, pregnant females start to feed so intensively that by the autumn they become 200 kilograms heavier, their weight sometimes almost doubles. At the same time, the development of the embryos in the bear's belly in spring stops at an early stage and continues only in autumn. Until then they are in a state of rest, which is called embryonic diapause in scientific jargon. Apparently, this allows the bears to adjust the beginning of embryo development to the time of burrowing. After all, this time strongly depends on the conditions in the area and even on the weather in a given year. It is not very clear why all polar bears don't get fed the same way. But for some reason they don't. It is interesting that, apparently, at any time of the year when starving for a long time, polar bears sort of sleep on the move. Their blood urea concentration drops dramatically, which is typical of other bear species during hibernation. Bears are able to use urea to synthesize amino acids and plasma, liquid, blood proteins. The concentration of proteins in the plasma must be as constant as possible. Otherwise there are various problems with fluid transport and metabolism in the body. In addition, the lower the urea content, the less it needs to be excreted with urine, which means less to drink. Although water in the form of snow is usually readily available in the Arctic, it is not energetically profitable to drink, or rather eat. A lot of energy is lost for its warming. If the brown bear's urea concentration decreases, he becomes lethargic, no longer wants to eat and falls asleep. But the polar bear, if there is food, starts eating again and raises its urea concentration to normal levels. It is interesting that during the period of winter sleep, the polar bear somehow manages to lose almost no bone and muscle mass. Usually in humans and other animals, their mass decreases sharply during prolonged immobility. Even when there is food, the mass of bones and muscles also decreases in other species of bears during sleep. But the polar bear consumes almost only fat.